Welcome to the It's Your Choice podcast, where we learn how to rewire our brains to live the life we desire. On with the show. Welcome to It's Your Choice podcast. Today on the show, we have Bill Heinrich. Bill, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here, Sally. I appreciate it.
So, Bill, you have a bit of an interesting story. About 30 years ago, you said that you walked out the door and kind of never looked back and changed your life. Why don't you explain to us a little bit about why that happened and what was going on at the time?
Well, what was happening at the time was chaos. I was just crazy. I was miserable. I'd always been successful I'd owned my own business at a very young age, and have always owned my own businesses. But I couldn't keep success, and it's just my life was just spiraling kind of out of control. It was chaotic, dysfunctional. I was just miserable, and I finally just said, I've got to go find out why. I just had reached the final point. People ask me, how how did you have the courage? And I said, I didn't have any courage. I was unwilling to live a certain way any longer. That's
Hmm.
the explanation. And it was that unwillingness that caused me to take the action. Um, and I'm still in pursuit of that today, so to speak. I found a lot of answers and a lot of resources and ended the misery a long, 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 long time ago. But there's so much more. The life is so fascinating when you understand how it works. It's really fascinating. When you don't, it will be no more than hard work, lack of clarity, and suffering. That's all you can get out of your physical life. It's just the way it
Right,
is.
right. And you've made the comment that most people are walking through life blindfolded.
Hmm. Yeah.
How do we kind of a two-part question is how do we know if we are one of the ones that are blindfolded?
Oh,
And
I
then if
guarantee you are. It's not, if
then
isn't the question.
how do we
It's
remove the
you know
blindfold?
well, it's quite a humbling process.
Mhm.
In fact, I give a keynote talk. It's called "My Life is Out of Control, and Yours Is Too." And until you can firmly own that position, you're going to suffer. Because the truth of the matter is, our lives are completely out of control. And we just have to go to identify the day we're going to die and transition from here, which no one knows.
Right.
It could be during this show, it could be tomorrow. Who knows? See, we don't know.
It's
Our
true.
lives are out of control. And because of that, because of that, everybody, like there's I guess it's a joke. I don't know. They say, you want to make God laugh? Tell him what your plans are, you know?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, and so the whole focus in life that we've always had is survival. And the whole focus is on our physical life. Yet our physical life is where all suffering takes place. And the truth of the matter is this: everybody has life lessons. You said, how do I know if I'm one of those? I guarantee you are beyond your wildest imagination because we have life lessons. So what happens is you're born and you have a view of life that has a complete void in it. Now, you wouldn't even know it, except for the running into the situations that don't make sense to you and where there's confusion, where and with some people it gets worse and worse and worse.
Right.
But we have life lessons and we have a huge blind spot to start with, number one. Number two, I mean, that just guarantees that you're making decisions based on who you aren't, not who you
Hmm.
are. You're making decisions based upon the best of the limited knowledge that you have, right?
Right.
And so many people make decisions based on expectations and goals, right? But the
Yep.
definition of disappointment is when reality meets expectations, because they never come out. Never.
Right.
So, but this is a cycle that people are in. And so, because of that, well, let me back up for a second.
Hmm.
Even with that aside, we are so ignorant, it is laughable. It's literally laughable. The level of our ignorance is just astonishing. And people hate hearing that. Oh, they have their beliefs and they have their stories and they have everything they're going to protect. But the truth of the matter is, the universe is just phenomenal. And until you can have an open mind and stop being defensive, you can't learn anything. You know, like you just start with this fact: no two people are the same.
Right.
Everyone is different. Yet society asks us to conform and to be the same. So that whole game is going on. And while that game is going on, people are suffering inside. I mean, and
Mm.
that's just a fact, right? So it's just astonishing what little bit we know. And the other thing is, people don't even know who they are because everybody's focused in the physical. But who you see in the mirror isn't you. Who you are is the energy that manifested that physical form. We are human. Let me say this. I think people have heard this before. We're human beings. We aren't
Right.
human doings. Human beings. And what is that? What does that signify? The question is, who are you being? And there's a whole language that goes with being, and there's a whole language that goes with doing. And anything that has to do with doing guarantees suffering. Anything that has to be with being is about expansion, love, connection, and authenticity. And that's the way it works. And
Hmm.
people just, they when you talk about the non-physical, oh, you're going to go woo woo. It's like, well, let's start with your breath. Your breath is non-physical,
Right.
but it's the essence of who you are. This is the basics basis and source of your energy is your breath. And the day you die, that energy in your breath leaves. The body you see in the mirror stays here. That's not you. So it's all about learning about who you're being. And that's the path that people have to follow. So when you look at the words that support being, okay,
Hmm.
there's no definition for them. For instance, love. Define love for me.
Well, it's a feeling, it's an emotion. It's difficult to put into words.
You can't, exactly.
It's
You can only experience it based on who you're
mm,
being. And it can show
right.
up in the physical in millions of different forms and millions of different experiences based upon how you're being in that moment. And your
Right.
beingness is your feeling, right? That's
Right.
the key. So people just don't get it. They're they're in their heads,
Hmm.
and like in there's a lot of I don't know, clicky pseudo spiritual, like spirituality. I don't even know what spirituality is. Somebody asked me that on a show the other day. I said, I don't know what that is. What is spirituality? You know, not really
Hmm.
sure. What's it To me, it's just the non-physical, right? And let me talk just a second about the non-physical, because the non-physical runs everything. The
Right.
universe runs everything. All of the rules for living come from the universe. They don't come in physical form. And until you understand the rules of how the universe works, you're always going to suffer in physical form. Always. because you're going against the grain.
Mhm.
You know,
Pardon the
everybody,
interruption. If you're liking the show so far, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. It really means a lot to me. It helps grow the show and the channel and to the show.
you know, everybody, intellect and all of our conforming societal confirmations of getting along, your mind can only access the past.
That's true.
People say, well, it can access the future. There's no such thing as the future. The future is just your past thrown out in front of you. That's all it is. Right. So your mind can only access the past. Your mind cannot come into the present moment. It is not possible. Only who you're being can be in the present moment. Your mind can't come there. It's not possible. And the only thing your mind will do is protect you and create fear with your ego. That's it. That's all it does. So, and when to create fear, you have to go to the past. You can't
Right.
you can't create fear in the present moment. It's not possible. So, the things I've learned, there's only two emotions and that's it. Everybody talks about all these things. It's like, okay, there's just two emotions. Let's not complicate it. There's fear and there's love. Everything stems from those two. Period. End of conversation. One is in the non-physical, one is in the physical. So if you're experiencing fear, you're in the physical. And when you're doing that, you're stepping into a massive state of limitation and ignorance. Anytime you're in the physical, it's just about limitation. Because the number one word that stops everybody, no matter who it is and what they want to do, the three-letter word, and it's how.
Hmm.
Great. How are you going to do that? Well, if I go to the non-physical, nobody says how. Everybody says, yeah, create the energy and it happens. And that's
Right.
where that's the difference. That's where the trust comes in.
That's a very challenging thought for a lot of people is because,
That are for people that are suffering. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like, how do I know like what to do? And part of it is that fear if they want to do something and to let
Well,
go and I guess believe is very
so
challenging because a lot of people, as you said, we're very stuck in our physical world. And so to just believe something is challenging for people because they want some type of proof or somebody else has done it, which again is another type of proof.
the proof is all around us, but they won't look at just basic facts, right? You know, um, if I ask anybody about a special moment in their life, name two special moments in your life. You're going to go to how they felt.
Right.
You're not going to go to what happened. So there's your proof right there. There's a saying, no one will ever remember what you said, but they're always going to remember how you
Made them feel.
made them feel. What are feelings? Feelings are vibrations.
Right.
It's
Energy.
just it's as simple as a vibration. And what happens is what people are doing, and you're right, like what I teach isn't for everybody. And I'm not here to convince anybody, hey, they can keep their suffering. I used to suffer, I don't any longer. And it's like
It's a choice. It's a
it,
choice.
it isn't a choice, okay, because most people can't even make that choice. They don't have the capacity to even make the choice. They're too busy defending their state of misery, and they're too focused in on getting to death safely. That's all they want to do is get to death safely. So they aren't even living, they're just existing.
That is so true. And I
Hmm.
struggle with that with people sometimes having conversations of there is a difference between being alive and living. Like,
And living.
just because you're alive doesn't mean you're actually living.
Hmm. Hmm. You're not. You're just you're just participating, and you're just you're just staying, out of trouble. You're staying, just let me have my little space over here. And, I've got my new Tesla or my new car or new house or whatever. And, you know, everything's playing pickleball and everything's cool. I mean, that's when there's a phenomenal life to live, there's connection. It's just, it's so robust. Anybody that's worked with me, their lives change so fast. Not only do their lives change, everyone around them changes because when their energy changes, everybody else's energy changes.
Yes.
You
The
that
ripple
people just
effect.
they naturally gravitate towards it.
Yep.
When I go places, people like I don't, when I go to meetings and things, I don't even introduce myself to people. People come to me just because of my energy. They're just like, what? I got to meet this guy. What's going on? Like I don't have to say anything because the world's a mirror. And here's the truth for everybody. All we want in life is one thing, and that's to be loved unconditionally. That is our purpose on earth. Yet people are afraid of that. They don't even know what love is. That's why there's so many divorces. It's love to them is this intellectual thing, so then they
Right.
get in and there's the inability to communicate. When you understand how the universe works, you can accomplish anything, anything in your life. I've worked with people, I've taken people through conscious divorces. I mean, I've worked with a number of people around divorce where
Mhm.
they just like they see the truth, and it's like, wow, they try it and they go like, this is crazy, this is amazing. That it's sad, like one woman that's in my group right now, she was married, I think, 25 years, and it took her through uh, conscious divorce. She didn't exist in the marriage. She was treated like dirt,
Mm.
and her husband is a professional, but he controlled and manipulated and just all the games you play in survival because he's so terrified. People are scared because they just live in constant fear with what's going on in their life, and it's all about protecting themselves. And the minute she started working with me, she could start breathing. And so today she's still sad about the fact that the family broke up, but she's alive, and now her children are coming around and understanding. They can see the truth and feel the truth, although she left, and the children are 18, 19, and a little older than that, and stayed with the father in the house, and she
Mhm.
left. But she's just living her life. She's full of life again. Like, and she really saw she did not exist in that relationship. She didn't exist.
That's sad. And
It's
there's a
true for
lot,
so many,
there's
it's
that's
so
just what
many
I was going to
people.
say. So many relationships are that way, and it really is sad.
Hmm. Hmm. This other woman I was coaching, then she asked me to coach her husband too. I was working with each of them individually. And after a short while, she's like, hey, I want a separation. And I'm thinking, oh God, what did I get myself into? And she said, no, I want a separation. I said, okay, I don't care. She'd been married 17 years. She said, great. Um, I said, I said, when do you want to do this? She said, right away. And I said, okay, I'm going to ask you to wait. So I don't want to wait. I said, look, how long have you been married? She said, 17 years. I said, okay, can I have 90 days? Oh yeah, you can
That's
have
not a
90 days. I
Yeah,
said,
that's
okay,
not a
cool.
lot of time considering
Yeah,
the amount
just
of
give me 90
marriage.
days working with you. She said, okay. What she saw at the end of 90 days was at the time, her whole basis for wanting to get separated in that moment was really rooted in a lot of anger and an energy that wasn't good. And I was able to help her transition over to a loving energy where she found out it was okay to want to get that her life had changed. She didn't want to be in the marriage any longer. And they did it from a place of love. Was it sad? Yes. But they actually are still, I think, cohabitating in the same home together. She travels a lot, and they're actually more in love now than they were before because they've
Mhm.
got themselves authentically. because they know who they are and they understand how to communicate. And the most important thing is to acknowledge and accept that you and I are different.
Right.
And if I allow you to be you and support you in being you, I will learn something from you.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's nothing you can do to hurt me. Only I can hurt me. It's my perceptions that are going to hurt me, not what you say or do. It's
I'm
how I
so
choose
glad
to
that you
see it.
said that because a lot of people think it's what you did. You hurt
Oh,
my
yeah.
feelings. You made me feel. I'm like, I didn't make you feel that way. Or if you got
They,
offended by something, you chose to be
the,
offended.
re, the reason they're offended, the reason they're offended is because that's who they are. Whatever you judge, you are. Whatever you judge, you are. The world's a mirror, and they have stories inside them that it reminds them of. And I talk to people all the time like, oh, I had issue with my father, but I healed that. And I'm like, have a seat, because that's running your life. Oh, no, it isn't. I said, I'll show you. Because anything that ever enters the system never leaves it. It never leaves.
Hmm.
So, and there's such beauty in the healing. There's such beauty in what people call the issues and the pain. There's no such thing as pain. It's just discomfort. But but if you understand energy, feelings are just energy. You move through you. And if you don't, then they run your life.
Right.
They literally run your energy is what controls your life. And people are living out the stories inside of them, not they aren't willing to write a new story. They aren't willing to do that.
No.
You can't be in the present moment when you're living your old story. You're in the past.
But Bill, it's just the way I am.
Yeah. How's life? I have a few
Right?
questions for you.
We've
Yeah.
we've heard that from so many people. It's or it's just the way he or she is, or oh no, I can't help it.
Yeah.
It's just the way I am. And I
Hmm.
say, well, it's a choice to be that way.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, they don't understand.
But
People don't understand that. Yeah. There's only, you can only play two positions in life. There's only two positions to play. You're either the victim or you have power. It's one or the other.
right.
There's
And
no,
most
there's
people are
no,
the victim.
there's nothing,
It's not my fault.
and
It's not my
and
fault.
they're the victim. It, the problems are the problems are outside of them, and when the problem is outside of you, all of your power is outside of you.
Right.
You're giving your power to someone else.
Pardon the interruption. If you're liking the show so far, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. It really means a lot to me. It helps grow the show and the channel and to the show. Yeah. And we see it all the time, everywhere,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, people don't even know how to speak. They don't even know how to talk. Their speech is just doesn't support them. They speak in a
Right.
manner that puts themselves into the position of the victim of not having opportunities, and there's just nothing
So,
further from the truth.
how do we help change that? Like, I know people have
I
to
don't
want to
know.
and have to realize it's like, and it's like, as the old saying is, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Hmm.
We can give information and they choose to, I guess, want to
Hmm.
change, believe they can.
Yeah. Yeah, there's people I speak with that, I only need to speak with them like 2 minutes, and I just say, hey, you and I shouldn't talk any further because I'm going to destroy your life, because I won't do anything. Like, I don't coddle people. Like, that's not
Right.
my position. Is to shake them up, for people that really want to change. And the
Hmm.
people that do want to change, the crazy thing is it happens so fast. It's like boom, boom. It's that quick. I mean, literally, I can change anybody's life in 60 minutes, literally, without a doubt. But there's people, like I say, you're living on a three-legged stool, and if you work with me, one of the legs is going to be gone immediately. So I want you to understand, that's your life and that's what will happen. And I'm not going to do that to you because you don't, I apologize to them. I said, gee, I'm sorry. I really didn't explain what I do. Let me just give you a little, because I owe you an apology. I've got you in a position you shouldn't be in. Then I give
Mhm.
them some assignment and send them out the door. Because it's like, I'm not here to convince anybody. Listen,
Right.
I live miserably. I know misery. I know it ends it. I've been working with executives and CEOs over 15 years. I give a 100% money back guarantee of success, the work I do. No one's ever asked for their money back, ever. Part of the reason is they've got to get through the filter with me to begin with. So that statement's a little bit slanted in my favor because I won't just take somebody, like, I don't want the money. I just want to work with people that change. And then because of that, once you understand how it works, when you understand how energy works and you understand how the universe works, then we step into a state of expansion.
Mhm.
And in that state of expansion, we just go. So I've got right now, I have 5 clients that have all been with me for over 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, meeting every week for 7 years. No contracts, none of that crap. You don't need it when you're authentic because you can just have an honest conversation.
Right.
But we're just, I mean, life is just exciting with them. It's very exciting, totally in expansion, because that's what the universe does. The greatest example of expansion and the non-physical for all these doubters out there. In fact, if there are any skeptics, just go to speaktobill.com. You can get on my calendar. I am all out of skeptics. They're all raving fans now. So step on in. I dare you. But the greatest example of it is a telephone.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the telephone.
It used to be attached to the wall. It wasn't even attached to the wall. It was a rotary phone on a table
I remember.
with a 3-foot cord and a
Yep.
dial that you twisted with your finger.
Yep. And it goes tick, 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 all the way back. Then the
Yeah.
next number. Oh yeah, I remember. I remember
And
that
if you're
phone.
old enough, you used to only have to dial 4 numbers. Just, I mean, they're just, and then you'd get an operator and, I mean, complete total state of physical limitation.
Hmm.
There were only so many wires there, and that was it, you know. Then in the expansion, I remember when the Bell companies came out with the Princess phone with those long cords, 20-foot cords, right? You could walk around and it now was it hung on the wall and you could pick it up and just and that was like the cat's meow, right?
Yep. Yeah, I remember that one
And they came
too.
in different colors and
Hmm.
you know, and then it continued to progress. Now telephones run non-physically.
Right.
It's complete expansion, all in the non-physical for all you doubters out there. And not only you don't just have a phone now, what you got in your back pocket is so many things you couldn't pile them on a table 20 years ago. You've got a
Right.
flashlight, you've got a notebook, it's on and
You
on
got
and
a
on.
camera, you've got
Yeah, you
everything.
got camera, you got a movie camera, you got a regular camera, and you pick that thing up and you hit a couple things, and you're talking to Australia in 2 seconds.
Right.
Now that's expansion, and that's non-physical expansion. It's all done. Hang on, everybody, with a vibration. Exactly how the universe works. It's a vibration. Boom, you
Hmm.
put the number, boom, and it goes to millions of different phones. I mean, I don't even know how many hundreds of millions of cell phones there are, right?
Right.
You can go to any of them instantly, anywhere in the world. Now, that is a perfect example of the difference. So, if you're living as a victim just in the physical world, you're just like the phone sitting on the desk. You have a little rotary dial phone. That's what your life is. And it'll never be any more than that. because you don't have the capacity to open your mind enough to have an experience and check some things out and play with them. You know, like playing with the universe is fun because you're always challenging. Okay, let's see, let's do this, And the odd thing is when you want to manifest something, the universe has to deliver it to you.
Right.
It has no choice. Whatever, it has to give it to you. It has to give it to you. So I'm working on a really big project now, and it's just like testing the universe. Well, I've got to generate the vibration that demonstrates the responsibility for it to land. It's really that simple. And
Mhm.
then it lands. I don't need a college degree. I don't need to leave this seat. I just need to demonstrate that vibration and it hits. And it's literally that simple.
Right. But you do have to take steps and do things.
Well, you have to take steps to create more clarity
Mhm.
to give you the opportunity to expand your vibration. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to demonstrate what level of responsibility you're at. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
But never working towards a goal or an expectation.
There's that
The
word
only que
again,
Yeah, the only
expectation.
question is what's next is the only question.
Right. Mhm. And that's to have no expectation is another thing that's very challenging for people because we've
Oh yeah.
been taught so much of input output. You do this, that will happen, or you do something else, and the word that I am really trying to delete from my vocabulary is should. You do this, this should happen. Or the comparable. So and so is doing something. I should be at this stage. I should be doing. I should. And then it's that comparable. So I think
Yeah,
it's a
but
word that
that's
we need to delete from our vocabulary.
no, you don't need to delete the word, you need to delete the energy behind it. The energy behind it
Mhm.
is about judgment and measurement. And so whenever you're in judgment and measurement, you're accelerating your level of suffering beyond your beyond your ability to understand how bad it is because
Mhm.
that's what people do. They measure all the time.
All
And
the time.
and
Everything.
yeah, and measurement it isn't equal, yet we're all equal energetically.
Mhm.
We're all completely equal, but people don't see that when they're in survival.
Right. That is true. And majority of people right now are in survival.
Mhm. Yeah, above 99%,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Yeah.
So to get out of that survival, we find our life's purpose. But how do we do that?
Well, you don't find your life purpose. You need to find out how life works. So, like that saying, um, I want to go to, um, you know, I want to go to San Francisco, and it's like, okay, and I want to drive there. It's like, okay, well, you got to know how to drive a car,
True.
right?
True.
There's things that you must accept. People put more time into planning their vacation than they do their life.
I agree with that.
Literally,
Yep.
literally. So no, it isn't a matter of you don't have to find your life purpose. You already have it. You have everything that I'm talking about is already inside you. There is nothing that you need to go get. There's stuff you've got to throw away.
Mm.
That's more important than trying to figure out what you need to get. You got to understand what's there now that doesn't serve you anymore. Once you do that, it's like having a closet full of junk. You throw out half the junk, you've got room in the closet for more things.
Right. Better things
Maybe.
that suit you more, that you have space that hopefully you
Could
fill it
be.
with the things that are
But
more aligned.
first, Well, the first thing that would happen after you clean the closet is you'd find out you'd be able to breathe.
Oh yeah.
Your breath would feel different.
Mhm.
The burden would be gone. Yeah.
And it's funny because I even compare that to even the physical world when you literally do clean out your closet, get rid of clutter, get rid of stuff in your house. Every time I've ever done that, I feel better.
Yeah.
It's almost like stuff weighs you down. And it's a saying I heard a long time ago. And at first I didn't really get it, but I have over the last years is either you own your stuff or your stuff owns you. And I was like, what? That
Hmm.
makes no sense. But it
Hmm.
does because so many times we cling to stuff and we think we have more stuff, but when we're ready to let it go, and this can like be the physical and the energetically, we just feel so much better.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. People are just so, and that's why they're miserable because there's no fulfillment in it. There's none. It's like getting a new car. It's like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Yeah. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, oh my God, did you see that new Audi? Ooh. I mean, it's
Right. I know I say
after your
that to
car gets
people all
dirty
the
once.
time.
Yeah.
You get that new car. I'm never eating in it. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to do all this stuff. And then within a few months, it's like, yeah, it's a car. And then there's something newer or better, or people who are into TV and watch a lot of
Hmm.
TV. Oh, the newest TV. And I always say, you know what? It doesn't matter how much money you have or what you do. There's always going to be the newer, bigger, better, nicer, whatever of all stuff, all materialistic stuff. And it's the same. We're excited for a few days, weeks, maybe months if you're lucky. And then it becomes whatever, it's no big deal. And that's true about all stuff.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if stuff doesn't work, and we all know that, like we're aware, there's very few people um, that I would say, like, at least within North America anyway, that just knows stuff doesn't make us happy. It momentarily might be
Hmm.
that dopamine hit and we're momentarily joyful about it, but it doesn't
Hmm.
bring fulfillment. It doesn't bring lasting happiness.
Yeah. And you're also not able to participate in other people's happiness. And like just this morning, I was on Facebook and my nephew and his wife is a escrow, works for works for First American Title Company down in Kingwood, Texas. And anyways, she was just promoted to the south to be the manager for First American Title in Southeast Texas. And it was just like I feel so happy for her. Like what a wonderful accomplishment for her.
Hmm.
It's 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 about her fulfilling who she is, and she's just, she's a great person. It's not about the title, it's not about the money. And it's just, and the comment I left was, wow, was the first thing I said, you so deserve this. It's just so cool, that she could have it. So happy for her that she got that position. And I could really feel the energy of the joy. Like it's a big position from where she
Right.
was. She was working in one area before and now has taken on, but she's earned that right, and just, really, really happy for her. And she has a history of success like that, of doing those things, you know,
Hmm.
just really nice to see. The
It is good
connection
to have that
is so
for
different. It's just so different.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the joy for other people. It's so
Hmm.
nice to see people doing what they enjoy doing and loving it. I've got a friend of mine. She was laid off work a while ago, and she was with a company for about 15 years and took it hard at first, which is understandable. But she's come to realize too over time of she's like, I don't want an office job anywhere. I hate being in an office. She's like, applied for this job and my resume wasn't quite as clear as what it should have been. And I didn't get the position. And I said, maybe because you weren't supposed to get the position. Maybe because all these other things that you've been doing now and working on starting your own business, which it's going to take some time, but it's doing everything you love to do and you enjoy doing it. And if you're at the office job, it'll be really challenging to try to do the things that you love to do. And she's looking at
Hmm.
stuff because she's a great gardener, loves cooking. I'm like, there, you have so many options of the things that you can do um,
Yeah,
with what she
it's
does. I'm like, so don't go back to that office job. I mean, do some temp work, have some money coming in if that makes you feel more secure. Like financially, she's still doing okay. She'll be fine for quite a while. But I'm like, if that's a bit of a
but when
security thing,
when you find your truth, when you find your authentic self, money doesn't matter
I
anymore.
told her that. Yeah,
It's not even on your gratitude list. It can't even be there
no.
because you learn that you're just going to be taken care of.
Hmm.
And what's there is gratitude and just authenticity and fulfillment and passion and purpose. There's so many incredible things that money can't buy. You can't
Oh,
buy this from me. You can't rent it. You can't borrow it. You can't steal it. You have to learn it and you have to understand how to own it. In fact, I have a young gentleman I work with. He just turned 30. He's been in one of my groups for a year. So he came, and this true story. When he came, the second group he came to after, I have a recording of it. In fact, I use it as an ad. He said to me, he said, I've learned more from you in 2 hours than I learned in 50 therapy sessions, right? He had no
mhm.
confidence. And I was like, wow. He said, yeah, I'm telling you. I said, well, okay. When the student's ready, the teacher appears, whatever. But
Right.
it's the truth. So he has gone from zero confidence in a year to published a book. He's got paid speaking gigs. He got the job of his life, a job that he was hoping to have maybe in his mid 40s or 50s. He's already got the job. And he sent me an email and said, hey, my 30th birthday is coming up and I'm here are some of the things I'm thinking of doing. Tell me what you think. And I sent back and said, I think I'm going to have fun watching you make choices because I don't tell you what to do and I'm not going to tell you what to do. You have to do it yourself. And then we'll
Mhm.
talk about it. And so we talked about it, everybody in the group that next week. And so what he chose was to go to Dubai for his 30th
Okay.
birthday. He lives
Nice.
he lives up in Ottawa. Chose to go to Dubai. But it's like, why, Ronnie, why are you going there? He said, I'm going there because I really want to feel the essence of wealth. Like, wow, that's cool.
Interesting.
Like,
Hmm.
yeah, not, no, I want to go hang out and party. No, no, like I want to know what that feels like because I'm going to create that in my life. So he did, he went and when he was there, he did some posts and made some amazing comments on social media that really backed that up. And it just completely, really changed him. But he went for the essence of it. And it was more about his value that he was wanting to feel. That's what
Hmm.
wealth is how high your value is. That's what it is. And it's changed his life. And it changed everybody's life in the group, just as the process that I took him through with it. I said, well, I mean, are you just going to go party? Oh no, I'm going to travel to Montreal on Friday and on Saturday I'm having a big birthday party with my family,
Nice.
brothers and cousins and father
Hmm.
and then I'm going to fly out Sunday and he did, I mean, just really did it right. Really did it right. And he's flourishing, still has challenges, he's still learning things, but there's so much going on. It's just, you know, I mean, he's
But
just
that's
beside himself.
but the thing is, we're always going to have challenges, and we
Sure.
always will be learning things. If we're not, in my opinion, if we're not learning things, we're not we're doing something wrong, right? We're playing it
Well,
too safe, or we're
that's
not
the
growing, or Like
So
we should be learning.
what you're addressing there is the ignorance I referred to.
Right.
It's owning the ignorance, owning that we don't know anything. I don't need to
Mhm.
know anything. I just need to know how I feel. That's all I need to know. Everything else will take care of itself because I don't know everything. Life, every aspect of life is about finding more clarity. And that's why this level of ignorance is so astonishing when you look at it. And people hate hearing that because of their egos, but it's so true. That's if you knew everything, well, there'd be nothing to learn,
Right.
right?
Right. And that's impossible. It's impossible to know everything. Like
Exactly.
even the smartest people only know a fraction of
Nobody knows
possibility.
anything.
Like,
No, right. Nobody
there's,
knows anything. I mean, it's like, Elon Musk, somebody asked him about why he started SpaceX. He said, I really had a belief that we needed to go to Mars. They're like, yeah, but come on, how did you figure out to make rockets? He said, I read some books. I didn't know how.
well, he wasn't the first one to
That
do it.
No, he said, I didn't know how. I read some books and figured it out. And that's how I started SpaceX.
Mhm.
Right. And there,
They
I
had the
mean,
belief first. He just had
and I
that.
mean, I love him because he has such a universal approach. His approach is he's somewhere way out in the universe looking down on Earth, you know. I mean, come on. First of all, they're they're reusing those rockets. They're heading up to the space station. Like we get on the bus and go across town now, right?
Right.
Now he's got that super heavy booster with 36 engines in it. I don't know if you've watched any of those launches. It's crazy how like these 36 engines, the thrust on that thing, and now it goes up and it comes down. They got chopsticks to catch the damn thing. I
I
mean,
know it's
come
incredible.
on, that's crazy. But
Hmm.
there, that shows you what's possible. It
Oh
really
yeah.
shows you what's possible. It's amazing what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's one example, right? There's other people in different fields that are doing
Oh,
amazing things
absolutely,
too. And
absolutely.
it's fantastic. And they've had that belief, that feeling that they just knew. And we've
They
all had it in a very small scale.
We all have that
Everybody
same capability. Yeah.
we have the capability and everybody's experienced it. If you've met somebody and sometimes, you meet the person and you just say to your friend or your spouse or somebody, you're like, I don't know. I'm just something's off about that person. Something's not sitting right. Something's not, or even a situation. It's just like something's not right here. That is that energy that we know that we can't
Let's
explain.
say it the correct way. Something doesn't feel right.
Something doesn't feel right. Exactly. But we use the
It
word
isn't,
something's off, something's not. But you're right. Something doesn't feel
and
right.
well, and that's where the clarification is needed because it has nothing to do with your brain. It
Right.
has to do with this innate talent and that we all have where you can
Mm,
tell those things, I mean, I live my whole life that like I live in the non-physical world. I don't live in the physical world. Everything I do, everything I choose is from the non-physical world. And the reason for it is it's the number one, it's the only way you can create miracles. And we create miracles, me and my clients all the time. People are all create miracles. Sure. Hey, a miracle is just an unexpected event with a positive outcome. That's all it is.
true.
Hello, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many different ones. And the other thing is, and this is where people really go wrong, is there's only one thing in life that's true. Nothing else is true. Everything else is made up. Everything else is an illusion. And the only thing that's true, guaranteed, is how you feel. Nothing else is true. Not even the story that causes the feeling you have. That's not true. It's embellished, probably been in you for decades, all packed up with all kinds of other embellishment because
Hmm.
energy expands. So when you're whatever position you in, wherever you're at, that energy expands. If you
Right.
participate in the non-physical, then that energy expands. If you come over into the physical and you're stuck there, your suffering is going to expand. It's all that can happen. The physical life is just about loss. That's all it's about. And we're all going to lose. We're all going to die.
That is a guarantee.
Yeah.
Absolute 100%. And we just don't know when.
Hmm. So the only way you can tell where you're at is based upon how you feel. That's it. The
Right.
Never intellectually, never, because we are we're constitutionally incapable of being honest with ourselves. It's not possible because we're working with just such limited knowledge. It's like going to the drug dealer and asking him if you've got a problem. No, no, man, you're fine. You know.
Right. And we always do that. I'm fine. I'm good. It's good.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep
People are just,
keep going.
it's just they're just surviving.
Right. Right.
And the odd
Well,
thing is, there's such
mhm,
a vast majority of them that really don't think what I say is true.
I 100% agree with you
And
that
it's
they're going
just
to say, "Oh, this is fluffy foo-foo, whatever."
right.
They'll use all kinds of words to
It isn't
say it.
true. Yeah. Yeah. It's really, yet the ones, people that come to work with me, their lives change so fast. It's insane how fast their life changes.
Mm,
It's crazy, even to them. And it's like, hey, just don't take my word for it. Just try that and that and see what happens. They go, wow, because there's no delay in this is everything with the universe and your non-physical life deals in instant gratification.
right.
There's no delay. You don't do this for 30 days and you'll see an improvement. No, make this choice and see what happens. Right.
Mhm.
Like this woman who was in my coaching session and told me she was on the phone with her daughter. Her daughter accused her of stealing some money. Right. And
Okay.
the woman she was crushed. She said, I can't talk to you anymore. And she just hung up, which was the smartest thing she could have done. And she said, what do I do? What do I do? I said, it's real simple. Just call her and let her know how sad you are. That's all. Tell her the truth, how it made you feel. Oh, okay. So she did. She let her daughter know, hey, I want to text her, say, I want to have a call with you. Called her, let her know. And it just healed everything instantly. Her daughter apologized, you know, instead of throwing hand grenades at each other and then going,
Right.
I just, then they stopped talking to each other. And
Yeah, we know how that goes. It just
it's,
goes all bad in so many ways,
and
and in
it,
some
it
cases
continues to
becomes
accelerate.
unfixable. Yep.
Hmm. Well, it's unfixable to begin with, typically. It's inevitable in most cases.
Right. Yeah. Well, Bill, before we wrap up here, what would be the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to work with you, they want to find out some more, they're curious about this? Where's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
Go to speaktobill.com. Speaktobill.com. Make it on my calendar.
Perfect. And I will make sure that we have that link in the show notes to make it even easier for
Yeah.
people to
Yeah.
get in touch with you and connect. I think
Yeah.
it's great. And I just want to say thank you very much for your time today, Bill. I appreciate it.
Well, I so appreciate having the opportunity to have this discussion with you. It's always fun. Thank you.